I got a question for you. What do all adventure maps need? To be honest, not all adventure maps need this stuff, but they need cutscenes and a lore that goes behind the entire thing. Today, our objective is we're going to create the opening scene for my adventure map. Seems quite simple? No, the way I want to do this isn't actually quite simple at all. In fact, I've actually got the entire thing planned out at the back over here. We've got the different parts, the characters, we've got the different scenes, we've got the description of the scenes, we've got the script. Yes, we're going to be getting people to actually say stuff and get some voice actors going in this actual adventure map. There are a couple things I want to tell you. First, that's the fact that firstly, I have actually done a little bit of work, not too much, converting all of the command blocks into data packs, because a lot of these command blocks are always active repeating command blocks. And I wanted to make sure that didn't cause too much lag, so converting them to data packs will prevent a lot of that. At the end of last episode, we made a boulder boss, if you remember. So if we come over here, we summon this guy in, that thing with the eyes, he's actually a little bit too small. He's not big enough for my liking. A boulder boss actually has to be decent size and bigger than the player. So I plan to change that soon. It's actually on my to-do list to make boulder bigger. We've got actually quite a few stuff. And yes, I've added introduction cutscene and player deaths and whatever, because I want to make sure that if a player dies while fighting the boss, they can't just spawn back in. I want them to spectate the players that are alive, and then once everyone dies, then it restarts the boss fight. But also one thing I really liked, I made a chest that opens. Let me play that again. I made a chest that opens, right? And that's going to display once you defeat the boss. So when the boulder boss dies, that chest will then display and give the players their rewards. But drops and that I haven't even worked on yet. There's still quite a bit I got to work on when it comes to mob drops and what the boss is going to drop and all that type of stuff. But we'll come back to that later. We've got a bit to work on, and today's focus is the cutscene. Cutscenes. Yes, cutscenes. And I've got command blocks here, which as you can see, rotates around an armor stand. Yes, it uses repeaters, it uses repeating command blocks that need redstone, but it works and it simply rotates the player around the armor stand, and that's how we're going to be doing each of these cutscenes. You can see here that we've got character 1 and character 2. Ignore the bush because that isn't actually a character, that's just the actual scene. So character 1 is Kalon and character 2 is Vera. Those are the two names I come up with. Don't judge them, okay? I think they actually suit this adventure very well. You know, I'm not good with names. Let me be, okay? Stop accusing them. Why are you bullying me? Stop. I said stop. Anyways, so those are our characters. So we've got the scene. Oh, I did not mean to do that. We've got the scenes, which is actually explaining like what's going on. So they're in the house, hopping in bed. You know, you got the bush moving around. You got the ears rustling in bushes outside, stuff like that. Then we got the description, so explaining what is actually going on. Turns to the side when in bed, you know, simply basic things like that. And then we got the script, groans, yeah. And then we've got moments where there isn't actually any lines or any noises being said. But then we come over to here and we've actually got proper lines for the different characters when they start communicating with each other. And then over here, we've got lines that are said during the actual gameplay part. So this is outside the cutscene. So example, when you solve puzzle 1, it unlocks something and the player reacts to it. Finds traps. These do not look friendly. That's them actually figuring out that cracking the boulder boss by letting it hit the walls is actually what does the damage to him. Stuff like that, because we want to make sure that the player knows what's going on when it comes to killing the boss. So the one thing I need to figure out though is when you're actually playing the proper game, no matter how many players you have, it could be 1 or you could have 9 people playing this adventure map. See, you're always going to play as character 1, which is Kalon. C2, character 2 will never actually be touched when you're in the gameplay section. She kind of just disappears. And I want to make sure she's included somehow. I need to distinguish if there's 1 or 2 players. And then if there's 2 players, it means that someone can be either character. If there's more than 2 players, how will that work? All that type of stuff. But at the moment, I've just got it so character 1 will be the only character that's kind of played as by the player when you're actually in the adventure map. Now, I'm not actually going to go read through this. Here, I'll give you guys the opportunity to read through it. I'm kind of just going to scan across it. You can pause the video as you go. But yeah, this is the entire script and scene and idea I've got for the opening scene of this place. So we've got a bit of building to do. We've got an entire village to make. I know. It's, yeah, an entire village to make. Yeah, okay. Now, what's my idea for this village? I kind of want to go old school styled for this. So when I mean old school styled, I mean using blocks that go all the way back to, like, 1.8 Minecraft. I'm not going to be using any of the new stuff like mangrove or cherry. We are simply going to be using the oak logs, the oak planks, the stone bricks, the glass, that type of block palette. So we're already going to hop into a time lapse. Time to get building because we've got ourselves a village to make. I understand where you're all coming from. Yes, I have not actually finished the village yet. There's still a lot that I need to work on when it comes to adding minor details in these little empty spots around the map. I've still got a couple buildings to make, but apart from that, very happy with how it turned out. There are a lot of minor details, such as how deep the river goes, how the outer walls look. There's a lot of small details that I also need to improve on, but this village here is only going to actually be viewed in a cutscene. You're not actually going to be running through this village and doing stuff inside of it. This is going to be the village for the opening cutscene. So I'm not too fussed about how the interiors of the houses look. I'm not too fussed about the entire place being flat. Yes, it's all on the same Y level. So there's a lot of things that if I was going to make the player explore around this village, then I would add a lot more detail to it. But because it's only a cutscene, I am not too fussed about any of these at all. Either way, in between videos, so after this video, I am going to go through and add like some small rocks or boulders around the edge of this river. I'm going to add a bridge that goes over the river. I'm going to make sure that there aren't any empty spots whatsoever. If there are empty spots around the map, I am going to put either some trees, some nature, some rocks, some grass. I'm going to bone meal the ground, that type of stuff, because I do not want any of this place to have any empty spots. Now, this mountain on the outside, I am actually going to do all the way around the entire thing. I was debating on doing that, but now I kind of want to do it. And the way I'm going to make the player be able to get in and out this place, or during the cutscene, I should say, their way in and out is actually going to be through a hole in the mountain. And so they have to go through that hole in the mountain to then get out of the village. And in the cutscene, they're going to wander in and appear outside the jungle temple. And how the cutscene's simply going to work is we'll do everything that, that board over there says I was planning to do. Once they walk out to do their exploring, they'll go through the eggs of the actual walls itself. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet. And then they'll appear on the other side, and then they'll do a little bit more walking to find this jungle temple. Now, there is another build I need to make, and that's actually the jungle temple. However, it isn't a build I am going to make myself. There's another YouTuber called Aubanater who actually decided to make the entrance for me. Down here is actually the list I've still got to do around the village. Like, the only things I've done is the river, the trees around the village, the houses. I've still got plenty to do. I've still got to make 2 markets around the place because, well, it needs some sort of market square where they can afford food and stuff like that. Now I need to put some wells around the place. I need to do inside of the main house. That's the only house I need to work on. I'm not exactly sure which house I'm actually going to do. I'm pretty sure I might try and do this one here, or one of the further back ones closer to the entrance. But that's where the main character is going to be and where the cutscene is going to begin. But yeah, we've got like the entrance, the bridge over the river, as I said, paths in between each house. We've got some farms I want to build around the place. I need to bone meal empty areas, make sure there's mini bushes everywhere, lampposts, ponds, village bar, outer walls. I need to finish the outer walls on the mountains, and then I'm going to add some trees on the actual mountains themselves that are going to be hanging over the village. Not like a massive canopy that like takes over the entire area here, because that would be a massive tree. I'm talking about only the size of this, but they'll be growing out the side of the mountain. So yeah, there's a lot to do, but we're not too fussed about that now. I want to get ready and get going on some command blocks. So as I showed you earlier, we actually have an idea on how these commands are going to work. We're going to be making cutscenes using the actual command blocks on repeating is going to teleport a player facing a certain entity. But first things first, before we get onto command blocks, we've got to actually create character 1, which is Kalen. So it's time for us to hop into Blockbench. And just like that, we've got our main character done. Well, I hope so anyways. I haven't actually tested him out yet. So that command does not work. Am I missing something? So I believe to have fixed it now because, well, there was a problem with the data pack. So hopefully that will fix it. So if I just get rid of that and I do summon right there, I think that should do it. Let's actually quickly just change that to be -2 so it summons basically right here. Let's put a diamond block here so then I know where he's going to summon. And boom. Oh, are you kidding me? There we go. It was a data pack problem. But this is Kalen, the actual character that you're going to be playing as or even watching in the cutscenes during this game. Now, he does have different animations. Let me go through them with you. They're nothing too special. They're just the basic needs that you're going to need when making a character for the game, such as the idle pose, the walking animation, running, the talking, the confusion, just basic animations. There we go. That's his little shrug that he's got. Might have to make that a little bit more obvious. Then we got the walking animation. Oh, I have forgot to do the underside of his legs, I just realized. That is always important. I should probably do that. Then we got the running, which is a little bit more intense. Then we got ourselves the talking. So that's him talking to the actual players during the cutscene. It isn't too much. Like, I'm going to add more animations, but obviously we're here just for the basics and I can always come back to this later. I am going to come back to all of them later, like when I'm talking about when we're done this entire section of the beginning of the game, and then I'm going to come back and clean everything up. And then we're going to play through it and see what can be improved, but also see what we have achieved. So that's basically everything. Oh, and then you've also got the idle as well. So if I quickly just tell that to stop, and then I go here and I just add in idle. I forgot to change that to play. You can see that he's kind of just standing there. His arms are moving back and forth. Just simple animations like that. So this is our character, and this is who we're going to be playing as. Now, if I quickly just summon not an armadillo, an armor stand. Let's just do it above this, and then we can do tags. Oh, wrong thing. And then we're just going to add it to Kalen AI. I think he does teleport towards it, which is good. And then we can just run this command here, which basically, well, actually I could do that always active and repeat. So now he's always facing the player. Now, one more thing I should probably do is make this armor stand invisible 1B. So now if I summon him in, we do that. He's now always going to be facing the player. And the thing is, when I jump, you can see that the armor stand does tilt up slightly, but in the actual game, he won't be facing the player. He's going to be facing other entities and whatever. And we're going to be forcing the armor stand to have its own path. So we've got him in the game now, which is excellent. Now we need to set up some scenes. So scene 1, he is kind of getting ready for bed. But while I was building the village itself, I was planning maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I could get him to sit down and watch TV or just watch some sort of show that is happening, or even just walking around the house. Part 1, he's in the house. I won't be hopping to bed actually. Let's just get rid of that line. He's just in house. And then this part here, we're actually going to change it so he isn't in the bed, just walking around. Let's just add that to the sign. And I'm actually going to change that to NA because there's not going to be any sounds in this part. Well, we've actually got an interior to detail now. We need to find one of these houses and we need to detail it. The real question is, which one should we choose? I reckon let's go for this one right here, because we could have like the exit or entryway maybe in the side of that mountain there, so it isn't too far of a walk. They just weave in and out these houses and then just get to the exit. So the entrance to this house is, well, it's just dark in here because now we've got to detail the house. We actually don't even need to do the second story. We just need to do the actual bottom floor of the house. I shall be back with this once I get this bottom floor detailed, or somewhat detailed. Okay, let's say that the interior has definitely had a massive change. We've got ourselves a nice kitchen, some books, some storage, the fireplace. We've got ourselves a table. a whole heap of random stuff around here. We've got a staircase up the back here, which then leads outside onto this little veranda. And then over here, we've got another staircase behind this little wall, which goes up to the room. I actually need to put some decorational details in this corner here. And then obviously we've got another one that goes up to the roof, which I haven't touched because we probably don't need to touch this area because it's not going to be on camera. So now that we have the interior done and dusted, I actually started working on a tiny bit when it comes to cutscenes, as you can see with all these command blocks here. We've simply got ourselves a character that's walking. That's all that does. So I'm going to quickly create a command block room just down here. Just so we can actually get all these cutscenes ready to go. Okay, command blocks have been moved down here on this little platform here. And as I showed you earlier, we've got a small cutscene so far of just the player walking. And let me head back over to our board over here so we know what we're making. Scene 1 is done. That's simply just scene 1. Each of these is its own scene. Scene 2 now, we need to get the player to hear rustling in bushes outside. Just changed it so the player simply just turns towards the front door. That's all he's going to do. And we're actually going to have to make some sort of bush noise. We're going to have to make a leaves rustling around kind of noise. That will work. Just a simple leaves rustling outside. Okay, so this is where the player ends up afterwards, and we want them to kind of face them from straight onwards as they turn towards that door. So making these cutscenes is definitely, I'm going to say, a tedious task. So I'm going to probably skip through a lot of this and just show you updates on how this is going. But it shouldn't be really too long, and we've got some voice acting to do at the end of the episode. Progress update. We've got way more command blocks than we had earlier. I've been quite busy working on these command blocks, and they have taken me a lot longer than I thought they would. This here is about 2.5 hours worth of work. I know it doesn't seem like much, but going through and getting the coordinates of the player, getting the coordinates of the actual Kalon entity, messing around with some animations as well, it was very tedious. But so far, this is what we've got. And yes, before you judge it, it isn't very clean at all. As in, when I mean clean, I mean there are some sharp transitions. Some of the animations from the player don't look as good. Like, first off, don't expect too much from me. But second of all, I am going to come through and clean this all up at the end of the video. So this is what I've got so far. You've seen this part. He walks in, hears a noise, goes to the door, opens it up, checks both ways. We zoom onto the bush. He then walks towards the bush and the camera kind of pans towards it. And at this point, we need Vera to actually jump out and scare the player. So we've actually got another character to create now, but it isn't too bad. There are a couple changes I want to make, and that's first off, let me play it again. This part here where he turns his head, I want it to be a little bit longer. You can see that part there, he doesn't actually walk. This part here is a little bit glitchy, but that's really it. I'm very happy with it, but there are a lot of changes I actually need to do in order to get this to the best of its ability, basically. I'm going to go through. I'm going to try and finish up this cutscene because there's quite a few. Let's actually go over to the board so we can check off the actual scenes that we have done. So far we've done the first 5 scenes out of 23. You'll love to see it. And that has taken me like 2.5 hours. Wow, this is going to be painful. So we need to create Vera now, who jumps out and scares the player. But while I'm working on each of these scenes here, I'm going to send you guys over to some voice acting. I was able to do some voice acting with a guy named Chillytune. Make sure to go subscribe to him. His channel will be down below in the description, but make sure to go check him out. I'm going to show you guys some progress that we did on the voice acting. So I am here with Chillytune himself, who will be doing the voice acting for Kalon, one of the main characters in the game. So Chillytune, hello. How are you, mate?
I'm going good. Hello, everyone. It's Chillytune here, and all right, we're moving on. Turn off the recording. Cut that out. Cut that out. Cut that out.
So, Chillytune, would you like to explain a bit about yourself?
Well, I am a musician. I am a violinist, singer, and I'm pretty much, most of all, a gamer, obviously. I also do reactions as well on my YouTube channel. Subscribe. And what I do was I also do voice acting for fun as well. But I never really got into the voice acting industry because I think it'll be a little tricky. but I want to do voice acting for fun, like memorizing the lines, and yeah, this will be a huge role for me for Sam's channel, and hope you guys enjoy my voice acting.
I'm excited for this. It is going to be fun. We shall get started. I'm going to send him the script and the idea on what we're going to be doing. And we shall see you once we completed the entire script. A good chunk of it, at least. I don't think we're going to be getting through the entire thing. I haven't even wrote the entire story yet. We shall see you guys very shortly. Well, Sebastian, I'd like to thank you for joining in on this adventure map with doing the voice acting and everything. How'd you enjoy it? How do you reckon you're going to enjoy it? Because there's plenty more lights to do in the future.
Oh boy. But I'm gonna enjoy it one bit. Hopefully I'll be able to join in and play the game. We'll see how we go.
Yeah. Thank you, Sebastian. And cut back to the video. Wait, this is the video. We'll cut back to the next section.
What was that sound? What was that for?
That is really good. Once again, still a couple things I need to add in. There is no scream, as you just heard. The actual character didn't scream. There wasn't actually a noise coming from Vera. Also, I did just find a random Alex skin online. I actually want to get a different skin for Vera. I also want to try and get a different skin for Kalon as well. I don't want to have these types of jumpers and pants. I want it to be more of like, I don't know, an explorer's suit in a way. Like, you're not going to be wandering around in this fantasy world and then you come across a guy with a jumper and a sheep on the back. I'm going to change that. I might keep his hairstyle on that, but I am going to change his clothes a bit. I need to find a skin for you as well at some point. But that was great. That was really good. Mate, this is insane. We're making a cutscene in this game. And the funny thing is, that's only a quarter through the entire cutscene as well. So there's still quite a bit of work to do. Okay, I'll say I'm about halfway through. This entire area here is the first part of the cutscene. The second half of the cutscene is when they go into the jungle temple, but I haven't actually built that yet or got that onto this world. So we've done the first half of the cutscene. And because there are two characters, I need two people to voice act. However, I've only done one. So there are a lot of lines that are missing throughout this cutscene. But this is what I've got so far. Hope you guys enjoy.
What was that sound? What was that for? No, it is way past my bedtime and it's freezing out here. Are you stupid? Damn, alright. I see how it is. Fine, I'll come. But make this quick, as I am very tired.
So there we go. This is the part where I'm going to fade it to black. And then they're going to appear outside the jungle temple as if they've just explored. But how cool's that? I am loving it. You're supposed to stop moving. Why are you moving? But there is the first part of the cutscene done, and it is quite a few command blocks. But the good news is that these command blocks aren't always active. They're only going to be used once on this server, so they won't cause any lag whatsoever. Now, because we've already done quite a bit for this video, the rest of the video, I am simply going to get this jungle temple entrance onto the world. We're going to work a bit with that. And then in between episodes, I am going to do multiple things. The first thing I'm going to do is actually do a little bit more detail on this village, making sure there's no empty spaces, as I said earlier. The second thing is we are going to clean up this cutscene because, well, there's a couple small details I'm going to add to what I've done so far. And so I'm just going to clean those stuff up. And then next episode, we are going to get started on the jungle temple side of the cutscene. The real question is, where do we put this jungle temple? Because it's going to be fading in, we don't actually need to worry about these big walls or anything. So this is what Aubanater has made for me. I think it looks absolutely sick and it will suit this 100%. There's just a couple changes I'll probably have to do. One of them being that there's like a small dip here that you have to fall into the jungle temple for. So then they can get trapped inside, and obviously I need to add a couple trees around the outside and make it look like it isn't just a little floating island in the middle of the place. I also need to make sure to turn off these campfires because, well, I don't want any source of light that is being produced by fire. Like, I think the lanterns should be fine, but the fire kind of shows that there is something living in here, which there technically is, because that's the entire jungle temple idea, that it's living. However, just fire isn't too realistic, I'll say. I might even just use a combination of this light here, and what I can do actually is dim it a tiny bit, but then bring it up to, let's say around 10, and then I could just place this, you know, in a couple spots around the place, and we don't need to worry about like lanterns and all that type of stuff. So then it kind of just looks like this in a way. It's a very dim light, and that's what I like about it. There we go. That looks a lot better. I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. Thank you so much for watching if you have made it this far. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also make sure to go check out the other episodes to get an idea of where we're up to when it comes to this adventure map. In between episodes, I'm going to be working a lot, making sure that the village is basically done, making sure the cutscene is all smoothed out and is ready to basically be played with. And then I'm also going to get a little bit of work done on this jungle temple underneath me. But that is all for in between episodes, and next episode we are going to be finalizing the cutscenes. We're going to be making sure that this entire first section of the map is ready to be played, and we might even get some testers to do some testing for us. But thank you all for watching, and we shall see you all in the next video.